I want to say that I have no problem with paganism as a concept or religion. I don't sit alone in my room and go into a blind rage knowing they exist. This isn't going to be a Christian talking down to others for not believing in his God, or explaining why my religion is superior. I'm stating observations I've made. I'm explaining the viewpoint I have. If you are on YouTube long enough, you've seen the countless videos talking about the supposed revival of paganism, that Europe is rising, that Europa is saved and we're heckin' back! This is multiple channels doing this. Jacob Todson, The Ark, Northern Woods Kindred, just to name a few of the channels I've seen speaking about paganism and its revival. Again, I have no problem with this inherently. It's the reasoning behind it, the varying beliefs of it, along with the people doing it I have with it. In general, you can divide neo-pagans into two groups, the leftist Reddit pagans and the right-leaning Nazi pagans. These are the two groups I have the problem with. Anyone else that does not fit into these groups are not the ones I'm talking about. As a broad criticism of paganism as a whole, not speaking about a particular group or type of paganism, there is virtually no real basis many of these people have to practice these religions. Many of the rituals and holidays are gone. Many of the deities and specific details of them are gone. This is something inherent to them, regardless of the type of paganism it is. How can you practice them when you don't even know how to? It's a similar criticism I have to modern-day Christians, of which many have no idea about the religion or how to practice it. On to the group I have the most issues with, the Reddit pagans. I hate the term, as it's often used as a slur towards right-leaning people, but cultural appropriation is the only way I can describe what I'm seeing. People who have no connection to the deities culturally, racially, or historically, worshipping them in what comes across as disrespectful. I might not be the best judge of character, but when I see a woman with countless piercings, tattoos, and a shaved head that looks like she doesn't know what gender she is, let alone how to respectfully revere a deity, I'm not inclined to take her seriously. In general, that's my issue with Reddit pagans, the disrespectful appropriation of religious customs. They often don't limit this to a singular pagan religion either. Wiccan practices in particular are almost entirely the mixing of many different beliefs and practices. So when I see a neo-pagan like Jacob Todson talking about how paganism is whatever you want it to be, and you can do what feels good, I can't help but compare it to many modern-day left-leaning ideas. To do only what feels good, and not what feels bad. This can also be compared to modern Christians, where they practice the parts of the religion they like, and not the parts they don't. They don't hold themselves to the standards the religion expects to them. Then we get into the reasoning behind their beliefs. Oftentimes, it is out of spite of Christians, similar to the modern atheist. It exists only as an opposite, defined by what it opposes. This, in my opinion, is why many Reddit pagans come across as disrespectful in their practices and beliefs, as they seemingly do not know how to worship or why to do so to begin with. They only know that they dislike Christianity, Christians, and the rules, not knowing that many of the religions they take from have similar, if not the same, rules. Their idea of paganism is so open, so broad, and undefined that I can imagine some Reddit pagan genuinely worshipping Kratos. I don't mean mythological Kratos, I mean video game Kratos. It wouldn't surprise me if these people just let them do this with no problem. It's well within the logic of them. If we can take pieces of Hellenic, Celtic, and Norse paganism, why is it a stretch to start worshipping fictional deities from entertainment? This universalist belief is something I dislike as well. These are the religions of our ancestors, not the African, not the Native American, not the Asian. The Reddit pagan comes across as a glorified LARPer, someone who desires the community and connection that comes with religion, but is unwilling to actually do what it takes to get it. As for the Nazi pagans, many of my criticism of Nazis apply. I simply disagree with the idea of subjugating other races, along with fascism as a means of government. That's not to say I don't prioritize my own race, but I'd prefer separation rather than superiority. These people follow the same trap of doing it in spite of Christians, seeing them instead as oppressive but as weak and too submissive. They seemingly forget the greatest achievements of Europeans was done by Christian Europeans. Similar to modern atheists, they also often misquote the Bible to try and prove the weakness it encourages, usually using Old Testament quotes which details the Old Covenant, which no longer applies, using quotes like Leviticus 19:34 as proof Christians letting us be ethnically replaced. Of course, this is missing the context, but the point is hospitality. Hospitality is something inherent to Europeans, to be kind to others, especially Germanic people. Aside from this, they also have the issue of having no real basis for their practices. Like the Reddit pagans, they essentially make it up as they go, although they at least try to practice them in a respectful way, and it's not just a bunch of different religions and rituals stitched together. The Nazi pagan comes across as an overcorrection of modern Christianity. Their view of Christianity as a universalist Jewish puppet religion is also something I disagree with. Despite their thoughts, Christianity isn't open for everyone. Jesus specified not to cast pearls before swine, or giving a parable comparing people to fertile or rocky soil. The point being made is that some people do not want to or don't deserve to hear the word of God, that you shouldn't waste your time giving them the ultimate gift if it will go unappreciated. Along with this, they believe that Christianity itself encourages unreasonable pacifism, which, of course, is nowhere in the Bible. This leads me to ask the question, if God expects us to practice His law, would He not also expect us to defend it? If there was a group of people who hate Christ, who hate Christians, who hate Christianity, and they were dead set on destroying it, is it not unreasonable to impose them? Is it not the will of God to ensure that His laws are upheld? If He were to expect us to follow them, then we'd have to establish and defend a way to do so. Nowhere in the Bible does it prohibit self-defense, nor defense of your nation. My beliefs aren't just that I'm a Christian and I dislike anyone who thinks differently from me. Just like my political beliefs, I am open to hear others' beliefs. To describe myself simply in terms that could be understood is Christian with a pagan worldview. I worship one God, that being the creator of all things. I believe that faith on Jesus Christ is the only way to salvation. I do not reject the existence of pagan deities, I reject their divinity. I do not worship nor seek out these beings. I believe that they are angels, demons, or otherwise spirits and personifications. Many times the deities of pagan religions are just personifications of places or concepts. Celtic mythology, of which I am particular to, the Tuatha Dé Danann are the people of the goddess Danu. Due to a lack of writing in the Gaelic or Celtic world, we don't know who or what Danu really is aside from the mother of many deities that is involved in the Celtic creation myth. It is likely that Danu is a personification of the river Danube. The Tuatha Dé Danann themselves are likely just the ancestors of the Celtic people migrating, interpreted as gods, as in some cases they aren't described as gods but rather as godlike. In other cases, deities could have been people that became deified, or their history through a long game of telephone made their story so mystical they eventually became worshipped as deities. In the Hellenic world, it wasn't uncommon for people to claim direct lineage from Heracles. In Roman mythology, Romulus and Remus were said to have been the sons of Mars and a human woman. The Norse world also had similar stories of people being the sons of Odin. I believe that many deities, especially those with claims of the lineage by humans, were likely humans who achieved some feats and their story became more mythical until their descendants began to worship them as gods. I don't merely believe, but know that spirits inhabit the world, many places you go to and get a feeling from. This, in my opinion, is the spirit of the land or location. This sometimes is the land itself, or the spirits of the deceased that contribute to it. Perhaps some of these pagan deities are these spirits personified and worshipped. I think being angels and demons would be self-explanatory. I think modern Christianity has been purposely subverted by malicious people, and that many modern Christians are following a false doctrine that has put Christ second. We are not beholden to a people who hate us, as the old covenant was replaced by the new covenant. That it is not only not our job to look after others, but is actively against the will of God to do so, as we should not cast pearls before swine. I believe in prioritizing your family above others, then your people above others. This part I don't entirely believe. And I'm more suggesting a possibility rather than stating a belief. Obviously, the chosen people, the Israelites of the Old Testament, are not the people who are claiming they are today. With this in mind, I want you to understand how lost human history is, how easy it is to lose. Think about how many events in the last few years have been memory hold. Now think about just how many things in human history have been memory hold. The Bible has been edited so many times, it is starting to lose its meaning. With this in mind, I think it's a possibility the Indo-Europeans and their descendants were God's chosen people. They're the only ones the prophecies really fulfill. Whose people have gone to build great numerous empires? Is it those that claim to be chosen? No, it's Europeans, the descendants of the Indo-Europeans. I think it's possible that God of the Bible is another interpretation of Deus Pater, Sky Father, as an incorporeal, all-encompassing God. I think a possible answer for why there's no evidence of Israelites in Egypt is because it wasn't who we think are the Israelites, nor that it was that they were in Egypt. Again, just suggestions rather than full beliefs. The race of the chosen people is unimportant, as again the Old Covenant no longer applies. Before some barely literate so-called Christian calls me a heretic, I want you to ask yourself these questions. What do you call the days of the week? What do you call the planets? What do you call the months? What holidays do you celebrate? Are you a Catholic? My point is many of European Christian traditions and beliefs were founded upon pagan names and ideas, chivalry made by Germanic people who had converted to Christianity, but upheld their values. Why is it that Christianity only really spread in Europe? It is because its values and systems are inherently European, alien to other people. You so-called Christians don't worship Christ, or rather, the people who hate him. You put the Savior second for the benefit of people who hate you. You are a useful idiot, unaware of what your supposed book of belief actually says and means. I'm not a good Christian myself. In fact, I'm an awful one. But my faith remains non-negotiable, unlike the supposed Christians that came before that destroyed the West. There's not much I can add in regards to neo-paganism. It's a bunch of Americans digging up the rotten corpse of religions and desecrating them by LARPing as Vikings and Druids, making up their religion as they go, since they don't have a foundation or desire to practice it genuinely. Non-committal trend hoppers who disrespect the history of our people and spit on the graves of our ancestors. People who, instead of revering their deities, it's more like, nah, I don't feel like it. I'll worship them tomorrow.